B-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. On today's episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about going from those who are taken care of as children to those who are taking care of their parents. And so many of you have probably experienced having to deal with aging parents. And so we're going to talk about that in just a few moments after these important messages.
This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is presented by Faulkner University. Faulkner University is a private Christian liberal arts university based in Montgomery, Alabama, with a mission to provide an education anchored by not only intellect, but also character and service. The Faulkner experience aims to educate the whole person. Every individual matters every day. We all want to become better versions of ourselves. No one wants to remain trapped where they are because of missed opportunities and unrealized dreams. At Faulkner University, we believe your dreams don't have an expiration date. We understand that you're looking for more than a degree. You want to find your niche and thrive in your career. Whether you're a high school senior just beginning your trek or an adult student looking for a better path, Faulkner is here to help guide your journey. Go to faulkner.edu to apply or get more info. That's faulkner.edu. I'm Travis Creasy, and that's All Pro Counselor with 3-Chord Counseling. In Muscle Shoals, Alabama, Ben Hayes. How are you today, man?
Doing good. Finally watching some of the roads turn from ice to slush. Don't know what's going to happen after that, when they're going to melt off, because we got some more cold weather coming. But we've had a good few days pretty much off work, so doing pretty well. Will, how you doing? Are you sore from all the sledding yet?
My hip is a tad sore. I don't know if that's good to admit, but it is. Maybe that's because I was trying to keep Amy, protecting her, keeping her on the slide. But she's a little disappointed. She has now realized what slush is, and a lot of excitement has turned to frustration at the My Hen house. And so, but we're doing good, staying warm, and can't complain when we're staying warm and got hot water. So things are good here.
All good. Well, we have with us today my fellow workers over at 3-Chord Counseling have joined in today. They're no stranger to the podcast. I know Cayron has been a huge supporter of the podcast, and so has Pam, probably from day one. I know that Cayron listens because she was asking about that final question earlier. She's like, I need to know what that's going to be prepared. So Cayron Mann is with us. Cayron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you guys.
Well, it's always great to have you on board with us. And Pam Lenz is the other that is with us. She also works for Deschler Middle School, and so she works at 3-Chord and does counseling over there. So Pam, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's really cool to get to be seeing you guys. Usually I'm listening, so I like to watch y'all do your thing here, so that's really cool.
Well, we are certainly glad to have you guys with us as we tackle kind of a tough subject and kind of set the stage. Cayron and Pam and I usually only get a few minutes together every day because we all kind of are at the office at different times, and we're kind of in and out. And so Cayron will be there during the day. Pam and I get there kind of in the afternoons, and usually in passing at some point we start having conversations about our parents. I have, as most of those who listen know, my dad is suffering with Lewy body dementia, which is similar to or maybe the same as Parkinson's with dementia. And so we've had a lot of ups and downs with his health. I'll let the other ladies tell about their parents, but we just had a lot of conversations over the last several months just about taking care of parents. And so we thought we might tackle that subject a little bit. So Cayron, anything that you'd like to share, or Pam, just kind of about the struggles that you guys might have been through over the last couple of months?
Last year, in 2023, my mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. that was earlier in the spring. We went through her surgery to remove the tumor and then started on the chemo. Little did we know that the chemo would, one of those drugs would cause heart failure. And so that was figured out in September. And then in December, we also found out that she has rheumatoid fibrosis in her lungs. So we kept having all of these side effects. So it has been definitely a long year. 2023. We were eager to see 2024, and but it has been. Other than that, Mom has always been very healthy, taking one pill a day, and now she has about 13 pills. So all in a matter of a year.
And my dad is also, he's in late stage dementia, and we might find out a little bit more about that throughout this episode. We kind of saw it happening, as a lot of times family members will notice things, and then his accelerated a lot in 2023, resulting from him going to being pretty independent while at an assisted living center to pretty much total dependency now. He was a wonderful and amazing caregiver for our mom throughout her lengthy illness back about 10 years or so ago. So it's always an adjustment to see what dementia, to experience what dementia robs from the person, and also what it robs from family members. So I'm really grateful that we're doing this podcast, and it is interesting, as Pam noted, as Ben mentioned at the beginning, that the three of us, we formed this counseling business, and we also are benefiting just from those touching base. It seems like every week, 2 to 3 times, as we check in with each other, check in with how our parents are doing, and so I'm glad that we're doing this episode.
Yeah, and it was a lot of you guys' idea to sort of do that, because you see the need not only in what you guys are going through, what I'm going through with my dad. I think we've formed, as you've already mentioned, somewhat of a support group with each other. And I know that there's a lot of, there's probably support groups out there. I know there's Facebook pages for Lewy bodies and for, different things. And so sometimes I get some questions answered there, but it is nice to have someone who you can just sort of talk with in those moments. And hopefully the things that we're going to talk about today will be something that will be beneficial to those who listen. Maybe somebody who's going through similar struggles will listen to the episode.
I knew that there were certain things going on. I'd heard about the cancer there with Pam, with your mom, but I had not heard that other stuff. And I'm not sure that I knew about your dad, Cayron. But that is interesting that we talk about the church, we talk about Christianity and the importance of having, a care group, as we might have called them growing up. I don't know if that's what they're called anymore, but we certainly need each other, and taking what you're going through and thinking of it in a way, of course, that comes with counseling, think of it in a way in which you can help other people. So I certainly appreciate your willingness to be with us. What are 2 tips that you could give us, maybe 1 or 2, of how we, or those who are listening, can either A, prepare for that time if we're not in it yet, or B, like in the moment, what have you learned that can help your parent during this?
Well, I have to say, for me, my mom has always been very strong, and she still is very strong, but it's been quite a switch to be the caretaker for her, because she's always been the manager of our family, the one we all go to and things like that. I am blessed that Mom is able to make a lot of decisions on her own about her health care, and I do feel I do it's hard sometimes because Mom has decided that is it of her cancer treatment. She is not going, if it recurs, there's no more. And that is her decision. And I respect it. I don't like it. And I mean, I don't like what the treatments have done to her. And but for me to be able to just facilitate her wishes is really has been difficult, because have been some things that I've wanted to yank her up and get her on up there to Vanderbilt or somewhere else and to a specialist. And when you deal with older folks, they don't really want to go anywhere. And I mean, they like their people, and they are loyal. My mom is so loyal to her doctors, and that's huge. I think they need to have that loyalty. But I have learned that to listen and really to think about what is it that she wants, and not to be overbearing with my opinion. I try to be real subtle. But Mom, I mean, even today we were talking about some things, and I'm like, it might be still a good idea for, trying to help her make that best decision. So I am blessed that she can make a lot of her own decisions. And I think it's important to know and get myself out of the way. I think I really want to decide things for her, but I can't do that. I can't make those decisions. So I am very confident in where Mom will be. So there is a whole lot of peace at that. With that, I know she can decide not to have any more cancer treatment, and no matter what happens with her heart, with her lungs, her body will be healed one day, and whether it's here on earth or in heaven. So with that, I'm thankful to have that peace, and I guess that helps, me to let her make a decision.
Yeah.
So she's made them all important decisions, and but I do recommend to listen to your parents and what they have to say, and help them and facilitate. And that is hard to do. I'm a controller, so I like to control the narrative and make it work the way I want it to.
And I'd piggyback off of that too a little bit to say that the things that they see, like with my dad, his type of dementia, he sees things that other people don't see. And even at times he'll catch that for himself. He'll say, pretty sure you don't see that, do you? He'll ask me, at least at one point he did. And so it's not so much important to, I've heard a lot of caretakers try to argue with them. Now, that's not real, or whatever the case may be. And I think sometimes it's important just to sort of like what you're saying, we listen to them, but we also, try to see what they see and get into their world. It's not as though I can talk them out of seeing it. Lonnie Jones was talking this weekend at CYC about when you're dealing with somebody maybe who's seeing some delusions or whatever those things may be, hallucinations. He said, it might not be saying, hey, I don't see that dragon's not real. It's going to be hard to convince them of whatever it is that they're hallucinating about. But I can look at it through their eyes. And so with my dad, there's been a lot of times he talks about something scary, and I can say, hey, I can't see that, but I know if you're seeing it, it must be frightening. It must be scary. This is a difficult place. Dad, we're okay. We're going to make it through this together, or whatever that case may be. But he sees things nobody else can see, but it doesn't mean I have to ridicule those things or try to convince him that they're not real. Sometimes I just need to step in that world with him and help calm him down in those moments. And that's the best thing you can do. And so it kind of goes along with what you're saying. We need to be able to listen to them and hear what their real fears are, or what their their struggles are. And kind of along that same line, one of the things that we did early on while Dad still had the ability to give us that is we went ahead and got power of attorney with him. And so that might be something for families who are listening to look into in those early stages while they're capable of giving that. My dad just said, hey, I don't trust my decisions anymore. My mom wanted some help with the decisions because my mom is still healthy and doing well and taking care of Dad far better than we can. But she wanted us to be able to have some say in those things. And so we got power of attorney that allows us to make some decisions that Dad was not comfortable with making anymore. And that's made things a little bit simpler as we've gone along.
And that makes it not only simpler for your dad, it makes it simpler for your mom, it makes it simpler for you and your brothers, and just that confidence that your dad and your mom have in knowing that y'all are making the decisions that they would be making. With our family, with our situation with Dad, it went so quickly. He was not able to take care of that power of attorney, and so we went in the direction of establishing a guardianship, which there's a little more to that, but actually it was actually not as complicated or as much of a headache as I think I imagined that it would be. A little time consuming. You have an attorney. You actually go into a courtroom for a very brief hearing. Even Dad was represented, of course, by a guardian ad litem to make sure that we were who we needed to be and that we were doing the right things. But that's going smoothly, and that way we're going to be able to do for Dad the decisions that he would have wanted to make to the best of our abilities. With late stage advanced dementia that our dad is experiencing, he's not able to express his needs as clearly as he once could. And so the difficult decision to move him into a skilled nursing facility needed to happen. And I'm really grateful to have two brothers, and we're just very unified in gathering the best information that we can, and then we move forward with it. I guess the point I'm making is that sometimes there's doubts, should we do this, should we do that? But what we've been able to do is to make those decisions together and then move forward with them, knowing that we're making the best decisions that we can. And also shout out to their wives, because they are equally supportive as we make those decisions that we can for our dad. Some things that we do when we visit, and these are some things that we've learned, and that is we play Dad's favorite music while we're there. In the summertime, in good weather, we go outside as often as we can just to enjoy the sunshine and being outside and out of those four walls of his room. We help him with his meals. We tell his life story to him as often as possible. We're always singing gospel hymns, taking him the Lord's Supper on every Sunday. We'll even ask him to lead the closing prayer sometimes, and sometimes he will. And also just the physical touch is so important as well.
I heard Don Williams talk a little bit about this at one point. We've not done this with Dad, but something to consider, and maybe something I need to go ahead and do. He talked about making a scrapbook for dementia patients where you've got there a picture of all of the kids, all of the grandkids, all the important people in their life, and you have a page for each one, and you've got pictures of them and the name there, so that anybody that comes in can kind of go through the scrapbook with them, and they can look at, like, Dad's never really forgotten who we are unless he's had a UTI or something like that. By the way, if you're not familiar, UTIs send people into downward spirals very fast. Any kind of infection has affected him in a negative way mentally, but on a normal everyday basis, he pretty much still knows us. He just sees the other things that happen that we don't see, situations or whatever that may be. But as far as dementia patients who are forgetting, that's one good way to help them remember and kind of struggle to go, hey, do you remember who I am? Because that's frustrating to them. It may be frustrating to you, but when you can go, hey, mom, dad, look at this scrapbook. Hey, here's a picture of so-and-so, and you read the names, and that helps kind of spark the memory. You guys mentioned singing with them. That was one thing, even on dad's bad days. If you start singing, church songs, they say that there's a different part of the brain that singing engages. And I know Michael Jackson shared that his mom would start singing even though she had stopped talking altogether with her dementia. But when they would sing in church, sometimes she would just start singing even though she couldn't speak. She could sing the songs. So it's really interesting to see the different ways that you can connect.
For mom, mentally, she has been present, throughout, and however, there's still been some times that I've struggled with letting her be independent. She, up until probably July, from March until July, she drove herself to her cancer treatments. And because she could, and she has this inner fight in her that, and it's great. I have to embrace that sometimes and just go, that's who she is, and that's how she was raised. And we've jokingly called her Jenny, which is my grandmother's name, because my grandmother was very feisty as well and independent. And I think, I guess I would say, let them do what they can do, and allow them that. That's what has kept mom mentally better, because of the things that she was able to do. And I, want to go over and, clean her house or whatever, which there have been times that just had to be because she physically couldn't. But, she would be, she would go, well, I mopped a little bit today. And I'm just looking at her. I'm like, what? And she said, well, I can just get in my little walker and I can run that mop around and I can still do it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, I just let it be. And there were times I would, it's like, okay, mom, I'm gonna step in here and go to the bathroom. And meanwhile, I am like swiping everything I possibly can, because she did not want, she struggled to give up that independence. And I have to embrace that, of trying not to be so telling her, thinking that she can't, because I do want her to keep that fight in her. And matter of fact, I told her, she went to the back over to the cancer center not long ago, and she had some prednisone, so she was feeling great, and she had gotten that going in her. So she was like, I can drive myself over there. And I'm just like, what? And I said, well, Mama, I said, are you sure? And she goes, well, you know that if I can't, I will tell you and I won't go. And I thought, no, I don't know that. But, so I told her, I said, now listen, I said, now when you get over there, I said, I want you to tell them that this was your idea, that you insisted on driving yourself, that you do have a family that cares about you. And so she got there, and the lady at the reception desk walks over to her, and she was like, well, did you drive yourself? And Mama then, she got it, because in her independence, she wasn't thinking that, oh, these people are all going to think that she doesn't have anyone that cares about her. And Mama just laughed. She said, my daughter told me that I better clear that up, that there is some people that do care about me. And the lady laughed, and she said, well, I figured that, and they had gotten to know her, and they said, well, I figured that was your own, that this was what you wanted to do. And I was like, yep, I said, because she is if she's going to go, she will go and do, and I love it. She does wave the white flag when she can't, but when she can, I have to relinquish those reins and let her do. I do have another suggestion that has worked for us. When we we have had so many doctor visits since September with a cardiologist, with an oncologist, with all of the gist. I mean, just every one of them. And it got to where it was like every week. It's like, where are we going? We record the doctor's appointments. My niece and I are the main ones. Mom is real comfortable with her girls. That's what she calls us. And so we know what's going on with Mom. We have a notebook. Mom writes down her questions and that she thinks about between doctor visits. And so she's got things, because when it pops in her head, she'll tell me, and I'm like, oh my, I don't know if I'm going to remember it with all the craziness I've got going on in my life. But I was like, Mama, write it down. So she'll write it down. And so we have a notebook, and we share the recordings to each other. And that's helped us to know what's going on. That way, if I'm not there, my niece knows. If my niece is not there, I know. And you have to have more than one person knowing what's going on. So I do recommend note taking. Phones are great because you can record the doctor coming in, and they don't mind at all. That they are good about that. Just record, write notes. You will not remember all the things, because mixed in with having to remember is also part of the grief that you feel because your parent is not who they have been, and trying to deal with that and remember everything is also difficult.
I know there was one time Mom said, I said, Mom, when the doctor comes in, call me so that I can hear the conversation. And she said, well, I'll do that if he's okay with it. I said, no, he's okay with it. You've got to have him call, you call me, because it doesn't really matter if he's okay with it or not. I want to be on the phone when he comes in. So, your care and your loved one's care is up to you.
And when it comes to taking notes, I use just the regular simple notes app on my phone, and I've got my brothers added to it so that if any of us add anything to it, we each get a notification that something has been added, whether it was a conversation, medicine change. I'll even scan, lab reports, documents, all kinds of stuff, and no telling how many miles long that is now. But just keeping those notes, and, just like Pam was saying, keeping that shared. And when you have all that shared information, you stay on the same page, and you'll even find yourself, if there's ever a discrepancy, it might be something very minimal, but we've even, said, well, I think that was, 25 milligrams, not, 100 on something. Oh yeah. And then, that change is made.
We have a shared Google Calendar, because we had to get Mom places. She couldn't drive, and I couldn't always leave work. My work has been fabulous with me, but that doesn't always happen. And so Terry, my husband, has been like he said, he pops in the house and goes, okay, your Uber driver's here. And so he's been our shuttle, but we have to figure out his calendar and my niece's calendar and my calendar just to get that all going on. And then whoever's there has to make the next doctor's appointment. So you got to kind of know what's everyone else doing.
The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. HCU produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University offers 5 degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. HCU is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and is an associate member of the Association of Theological Schools. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt. In fact, most graduates finish at HCU without owing anything for their education. For the spring 2024 semester, HCU is offering full tuition scholarships for the graduate level students. For more information about the scholarships they offer, visit www.hcu.edu. HCU invites you to the 2024 Heritage event at the Marriott Shoals Conference Center. Join them on Saturday, August 24th for an incredible night of music from the legendary Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder. General admission tickets and table sponsorships are available for purchase. Visit hcu.edu to purchase your tickets today. If you think HCU is the perfect university for you, visit hcu.edu to schedule a tour or apply today. Heritage Christian University helps you thrive in your ministry.
As our tradition, there's been a lot of help here, maybe even some self-healing to just talk with others about things going on, but we love humor around here. And so we want to ask you, Cayron, we'll start with you, then Pam. Ben, if you want to jump in, you can. Things run better when me and Travis are quiet. So give us your favorite maybe snow story, snow humor, snow activity, since we're in the snowpocalypse here in North Alabama and even there up in Tennessee with Travis. Give us something to smile about when it comes to the winter wonderland.
As for this current weather that we're experiencing, I mean, my hobby this past week has been staying warm, trying to get Wordle in less than 6 tries, just keeping up with friends and family through text, and I'll look at the backyard, and then I'll go look at the front yard. And and that brought up something to me that I became curious as to why backyard is one word and front yard is 2 words. That really has nothing to do with this, but that really has been my activities this week. And I did run out of half and half today, but I'm going to be okay.
When English teachers are bored, that's what you get right there.
That's got to be it.
I also did the front yard, backyard journey quite a bit. This week, I have, up until yesterday, I had not been out of the house since Sunday night. And it was fabulous. Since Caleb is 17, he didn't need me to go outside and play with him. So it was kind of odd. It was a real switch there. And so I didn't go out, and I stayed nice and warm, and I got started on a series of books that I've kind of been in it, but Betty, I have been knocking them out. And now yesterday, my best friend called me. She lives in Tuscumbia, Rivermont. I live in Sheffield, Rivermont. We have barely a street that, separates us. And she said, why don't you come on out? And Betty, that was hard for me to decide. And I was like, I don't know, and I just think I'm going to stay here. And then I was like, oh, Pam, you have got to get out of the house. And the more I kept thinking about it, and then I started gathering up all these clothes that I needed to put on, And then I'm like, just put it on and let's go for a walk. You need to get outside. You need to experience some nature instead of sitting inside. And so I walked out and met up with her. Well, she was sledding. She didn't tell me she was sledding. And the next thing I know, she's like, well, aren't you going to go down with me one time? And I'm like, that was not part of my plan. I was just going to casually stroll. And so, yes, we got on the sled and we reenacted the Amazon sledding event of the old ladies that go down the hill. And it was great. We laughed and laughed and laughed all the way down. Then we did it again. So I did sled 2 times, and I did not fall on my way there. That was, those funny moments of when you go, and you're walking along and really strutting, and then all of a sudden a foot goes this way and the other one goes the other way. And there were these people standing there, and I told them, I said, just going to go ahead and let y'all know that if I fall, you can laugh and just help me up, but it will be funny. So, and I didn't fall, but I was like, please laugh because it will be funny. But But that's yesterday getting out, just sledding with my best friend. We knew each other since we were 4. We are college roommates. And so we have had many, many, many years of laughter together. So we laughed all the way down the hill twice.
We sure appreciate the whole 3-Chord Counseling crew jumping on with us. And we'll have another episode talking about self-care for you during this circumstance and situation. And so we would encourage everybody to look out for that second episode. And thank you all so much, like I said, for jumping on and sharing.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.